Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin. I'm the principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their families. And let's applaud Lawyers Who Care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Paul Haberman. He is a partner at Mueller Haberman Law Group, and Paul practices sports and entertainment, healthcare, and business law in New York and New Jersey. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you for having me. How's everybody doing?
So far, so good. Paul, so tell us about the firm.
Well, the firm itself is the product of a recent partnership between my own firm, which I'd had for about 8.5 years after 11 years at larger firms, and my partner, Greg Mueller's law firm, which has been a mainstay in Tenafly, New Jersey for the past 30 plus years. Essentially, it's a combination of talents and practice areas, as you mentioned, most of the big ones. And we service New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, a lot of business litigation, sports law, health law, business transactional work. We're good neighborhood people on top of the heavier work we handle. So, as far as handling closings and things like that too. But
and how did you come to the profession itself?
I think it was always
that when you were 8 years old, you said, geez, I have to be a lawyer, or is there something that, came upon serendipitously?
I don't think it crystallized until later. I think it was always there. If you go to my bar mitzvah video, for example, there's people like making remarks about the speech I had apparently made that I have no independent recollection of at my service about when I go into law after watching divorce court and the judge. But I think it was part of my personality too. I was always sort of mouthy, but I also had nuanced arguments with my parents about things. When I think about some of the arguments I had back in the day, I'd say, wow, that still makes a lot of sense. And I was doing this as just kind of a cheeky younger kid, though, at the time. Now you get
paid for it.
Yeah. At some point, I figured out how do we harness these talents, because I've got the attitude and lip on the one hand, but I was also very good usually at kind of resolving disputes between my friends and everything too. So I always had sort of that mediator or consigliere sort of role over the course of time. So I think, some certain point, sometime between the bar mitzvah and college, where I was a political science major, was decided that, the law was the move. I just had to, get there essentially from there.
So when we first started chatting prior to this video, you had come up with 3 different client stories, and you've been in practice 20 years,
yep.
Which you'll be celebrating soon. Congratulations!
Thank you.
We had talked about the 3 different stories that you had come up with, and one had an incredible social utility, like a redemptive sort of component. And one of them was, an acknowledgement of your legal work from a client. Right. And then another one was simply high profile. And for the purposes of a podcast, we said, let's do the one that gets the most eyeballs. So do you want to share that story?
Certainly. So through a series of interesting coincidences, I had the opportunity to represent a boxer that went to the 2008 Beijing Olympics and for the U.S. I had actually known him through somebody that I used to work with, who then found out that I got involved with boxing management, who then told me to go meet this boxer's father down in D.C. and maybe have him train my boxer. And even though that didn't happen, the relationship with the family did happen. So by the time that Beijing actually came along, I was essentially acting as their counsel for when this boxer was planning on turning pro and this and that. And but before any of that happened, he passed out cutting weight for the Olympics. Apparently the air quality in Beijing, there's some environmental things that he blamed it on later, whatever it was. he passed out trying to cut weight, and because he missed his weigh-in or whatever the circumstances were, they disqualified him from participating in the games. And so their question to me when they were in Beijing, was how they could possibly try to challenge this so they could weigh in. So I did my research, the applicable boxing regulations for the amateur boxing, AIBA, the applicable regulations for, just the Olympics. Thought I had a solution, and, essentially wound up being on the phone, even though I was at a bigger firm and kind of handling this independent of that all through the night, trying to work out with folks in Beijing how he might be able to appeal to an appropriate committee there to be allowed to weigh in and participate. And, slept with the phone near my bedstand because there's such a huge time differential and everything. And what didn't happen was that he wasn't permitted to compete, which is a shame because he was probably a medal favorite. Now he's a two-time world champion. But what I think was crystallized there for that family was that I would take the extra mile for them. I would do what I had to do to try to figure out what needed to be done to solve their problems. And, a very good relationship was born. If I'm in year 20 of my practice, like I was saying now, I've been working with this family, which now boasts 3 professional boxers, including 2 current or former world champions for 18 of those years. And a lot of that started, I feel like, by proving myself with the Beijing situation.
Who ended up medaling on that for that 2008 Beijing boxing?
The only boxer that actually wound up medaling that year, because it was one of the worst teams in history as far as medaling. They had some good pros. I don't want to say they're a bad team. They had some good pros. But the only former heavyweight champion, Deontay Wilder, wound up medaling. He got a bronze in that games. So, and, very likely, maybe it's a bias because I've known the family now for 18, 19 years. I think my client probably would have medaled as well. He did very well in international tournaments leading up to the Olympics. Certainly, was regarded as having some of the fastest hands in the sport as a pro. I think he would have had a good chance if he had just been given the chance. But the only thing I wasn't able to do for them, was actually be in Beijing to kind of bark on the ground. All I could do was, bark from afar and kind of put things in writing to USA Boxing and whatnot to get that done. So disappointing on one level, but very productive. Showed me a lot about what I'm willing to do for clients, and showed them what I would do for clients as well. So
for sure. By the way, everyone, I'd like to thank my guest Paul Haberman of the Mueller Haberman Law Group. Paul, so that people can get in touch with you, can you share your contact information?
Yeah, depending how you want to get in touch or keep an eye on me. Instagram, Paul Haberman. That's my law firm. I only use that for legal stuff for the most part. I'm on LinkedIn as Paul Haberman. X or Twitter as Standing 8 Court. It's a little boxing joke there. Used to write a column with the same name earlier in my career on boxing regulation. And then MuellerFirm.com, PaulHabermanLaw.com. And P. Haberman at MuellerFirm.com. All options available. So always happy to speak with anybody that has a need in the New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut tri-state area.
Wonderful. This has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients, and certainly, sleeping with the phone by their head, waiting for a call from Beijing certainly falls under that category. If you're an attorney or know one who does go above and beyond, feel free to reach out to us, 914-666-6600. Number again, 914-666-6600. Paul Haberman, thank you so much for joining us again today.
Thank you for having me.